All right, everybody, it's the Jere Metcalf podcast where real estate agents tell how they do it. And today on the show, we have got Jill Butler, and she is with RedKey Realty in St. Louis and has got an awful lot to share. I'm so excited to have you on. Jill, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, first of all, I'm going to give everybody a little bit, and then you're going to give us a lot more. So you own a brokerage, RedKey Realty, in St. Louis, Missouri. You were selling though. You got into real estate as a real estate agent about 20 years ago?
Yep.
And you sold for 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then you opened a brokerage. You probably built a team, opened a brokerage, and now you've got RedKey Realty.
That's it. Yeah.
So anything else we should know? Because then we're gonna get your story.
Yeah.
And all your secret sauce and how you got where you are today.
No, that's that you did a good job of kind of giving the high level view. So that's it.
Love it. All right. So how and why did you become a real estate agent in the first place?
Well, it was kids. I don't know if anybody's gone through this, but I was in advertising and I loved it. I loved kind of the creative and the business and the sales side. But I would do a lot of client servicing. So sometimes it'd be like 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm with clients at the hockey game. And I had a little girl at home. And I just thought, wouldn't it be great to be in real estate because you can be in charge of your schedule. So when I was expecting baby number 2, I got my real estate license and decided, okay, now's the time. So I do think it's a good parent job. I know sometimes people are like, oh, you think it's going to be easy, but then you're going to work evenings and weekends. But I love that you can set your own schedule and you can be the room mom, you can do other things, and you can still have a really entrepreneurial business.
Well, being the room mom is business development as opposed to in the way.
That's right. Yeah.
So you became a real estate agent again 20 years ago, and it was to shift to, you liked business, you liked creativity. Obviously, it was a good idea to keep working, but you had to make sure it was flexible. So what was it like getting into it? Did it stay flexible? How did you keep it flexible? And how did you get your first deal?
Okay, I'm going to say this is words of wisdom that I still use today, but that is conflict arises when expectations differ. So I learned the hard way. I don't know when you started, but I remember, I was new and I wanted to do business. So I would foolishly say, hey, call me anytime. Whenever you want to see a house, call me. Well, sure enough, it'd be Friday evening, afternoon with my kids, and someone would call me. And I would be sort of like, I don't want to do this. And then I really learned it wasn't their fault. It was my fault because I was telling them, call me anytime. And you can start to set boundaries like, hey, I show property on Wednesday mornings and Saturday mornings. If something comes up before that, but let me know if you want to block that time. So just giving them guidance. So people were great. They'd be like, sure, let's go Saturday morning, or let's go on the Wednesday. But keeping it open-ended, I learned the hard way that, you have to set boundaries to have a good balanced life.
It's kind of funny too, because talking about being a mom, raising kids, it's funny how they want and like those boundaries because it gives them something to look forward to and expectations.
Yes.
But that quote again, conflict arises when expectations deliver. So it sounds like you could have learned that the hard way.
Expectations differ.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Conflict arises when expectations differ.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like that kind of makes it all simple.
All the time. I mean, if you think about it, if you say to client, hey, I'll call you next week, they may think that's Monday and you think it's Friday. So you call them on Friday and they're annoyed because they thought it was going to be Monday. So it's just like being really clear up front. It takes a lot of conflict, takes it away.
Wow. Making sure not only are you setting expectations, but they understand the expectations.
Yeah.
Like really, we're already done with this interview. So you get it. So now to your point though, when you're a new agent, you're afraid to set boundaries. You just want to get that first deal.
Yes.
How did you get your first deal? Was it harder than you thought? Did you get lucky or was it easy or?
So it was phone duty, which I don't even know if that's really a thing anymore because this was, 2002 and people weren't really using the internet much or using it to look for houses. So people would call and want to see one of our listings and you would go show it. Our brokerage doesn't do phone duty. So I don't know if it's still a good way to get business, but it was definitely, you answer the phone and go show property.
Well, just like in today's world, you still have to build that rapport. So phone duty, you get the call. How do you build the rapport? How do you get the deal?
So, I just ask a lot of questions and ask questions like, oh, that's a great house. Are you looking in that area? And then, oh, is that the price point that you're looking at? So I just wanted to start asking them questions. And I would also say, it's always about the relationship. It's not really about the house. So, oh, are you looking in that neighborhood? And how long have you been looking? And what's important to you? I would also try to know the inventory. So if I knew that area, I would know of other things that were on the market, not our listings, but just saying, oh, okay, there's another one. Have you seen this one? So you want to show up as that you have information that they want.
Exactly. I mean, it's simple. Just know your market and be there. And by the way, set boundaries.
Yeah.
So once you got that first deal, tell us a little bit about how you got traction, what the business started looking like for you.
So really how I got started. So I was doing phone duty and then I started doing mailers. And again, I came from a business background, so I really wanted to show up. So if nothing else, like I did a quick little newsletter, but it went out every month. So at least people saw it and were like, okay, she's busy, or at least she's consistently sending something out. So that definitely helped. I will say working your sphere of influence and having systems in place, it's good. It can take a while. So I didn't love phone duty because I didn't love, like, you may spend 2 to 4 hours and you have no idea if you're going to get a client or get a call. So I quickly started looking around at other things and I started doing first-time home buyer seminars. And again, I just built a system around it. I had a lender who would work with me. Title company would do a little bit of it, an inspector, and we would have it at a community center. I didn't want to have it at the real estate office. I wanted it to be kind of neutral territory. And the goal was, if you get 5 people there or 10 people there, I would always walk away with one piece of business. So I looked at like, hey, I can spend 2 hours doing once a month and like home buyer seminar, or I can do phone duty. At least this way I have a much higher chance. And then everyone who attended, you learn little tricks, like have a giveaway and everyone fills out their information and their correct phone number. And so you collect that. And then, so if you had 10 people and one person raises their hand and says, yeah, I want to start looking, the other 9 can go in your database.
And it's funny how once they've met you and you build that rapport, I bet you got a lot of referrals out of that.
I did. And then again, like a system, you set it and kind of forget it and just, I have to show up every month and do this. But then it may be a year later, they're on my mailing list and they would call me and say, hey, I took your seminar last year. I'm ready to go. So I loved those clients because, if they are committed enough to show up at a training and learn about it, they tended to be very organized. They were just ready to go. And the other thing with first-time home buyers, they would move frequently. So maybe they're getting married or they got a job. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was a really good way to start.
Wow. So basically there are 3 things you kind of touched on there. Number 1, be consistent. And by the time you get the end of it, it was be consistent with systems. So number 1, be consistent with systems so you can set it and forget it. Number 2, know your market. So when you engage with people, you can speak knowledgeably, have the rapport, and they want to engage and actually want to hire you, so you win the business. But number 3 is, oh, by the way, do engage with your clients. So set it, or be consistent, know your market. And number 3, engage with your ideal clients or the potential clients.
I love that. Yeah.
That's your formula. And you put those together. So clearly just listening to you, because you naturally, working with a lot of new agents, they don't always know the questions to answer. You knew what to answer. You had some experience in life. You had children, but you got consistent. You knew your market. You engaged with your SOI. You engaged with these events, and you picked up probably a pretty good book of business kind of quickly.
Yeah, I did. And like anything, I think sometimes as real estate agents, we're always looking for the shiny object. So stick with something, like gain mastery. So again, sometimes I'd have a class and there'd be 2 people. I'm like, but then it was, say the first Tuesday of every month, then the next month there'd be 15. So it's like, doesn't matter, just keep doing it and it will incrementally grow your business.
Wow. I love it. I mean, it's really that simple. So here's what we really want to know. So you are obviously consistent, natural, consistent. You know your market, you engage with your sphere of influence and potential just ideal clients. Mm-hmm. Then your business picks up, and only 12 years into the business, some people would say that's slow. I would say that's fast. You decide you're going to start a brokerage. How did that evolve? What happened? What led up to that?
So just I don't know. I think it's one of those things where you're like, okay, I think every company has pros and cons, good and bad. And I just thought once in a while I'd catch myself thinking, I would rather do it this way. Or if I was starting my own thing, I'd do it this way. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this because if I don't, I may regret this. Kind of talk about or think about deathbed decisions or like on your deathbed, are you going to look back and say, I wish I would have done that and taken the chance. So I was nervous because my kids were probably junior high and high school. And I was like, is this crazy because somebody's got to pay for college? And, should I be like starting something? This was 2012 and the market wasn't great. But I was like, okay, I'm going to start it. And if it doesn't work, I can go sell or I can go manage for someone. Let's just give this a try. So we started, again, I just did not want to do it in the basement of my house. Like I'm not doing it that way. So we started in a hotel room in the Hilton, primarily because the place I was thinking that some space was coming up, but it wasn't ready. So I'm like, okay, for 2 months, there's a suite and we had desks in there and, we're going to start, like I have to show up somewhere. I can't work out of my house. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
And, agents started coming. So that was really exciting. I remember my first agent, I was like, are you crazy? We're in a hotel room. Like, do not entrust your real estate career with me. But it was really fun and kind of scrappy. Everybody was really excited and would meet clients in the restaurant and they never knew that we had our office there. We'd just be like, oh, we'd love to represent you in the sale of your home. They just
love it.
Much.
Well, it gave everybody like your common ground to convene and build the camaraderie of the agents in the office.
Yeah,
so,
it was really fun.
So because you go in, you're a real estate agent, you're going to start your own thing. I mean, how did you, like, obviously you just don't know, but I think there are a lot of people who want to do something different, take the next step, but it's just like, oh, but what if, what was the push? What was I think it was you said the deathbed, which I love that. Like, but what about owning a brokerage mattered at the end of the day for you? Why a brokerage?
Well, and where I had been at 2 different companies, and the second company is that I was feeling not in alignment with the culture. And it was getting very corporate-y and numbers, and I could see a lot of people were unhappy. And I kept thinking like, I would do it this way. And then I just thought, okay, like put your money where your mouth is. And again, start. If it doesn't work, that's okay. You can go do something else. But I think it really was creating a community. I wanted to be agents who are really committed, like fabled service, good, productive agents who are very involved in the community. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs do this, like they want to create their own world sort of. So they do things to create what they wish they were experiencing.
I love that. Just if you can't, like, if it's not there, just make it.
Yeah.
So another question.
That's easier than trying to change the culture of like a bigger company. Like that's hard. I don't think it's going to work. So, figure out your vision and go towards your vision.
Oh, well, figure out your vision and go towards it. I figure out your vision and go for it.
That's for agents. I love when you're saying ideal customer, ideal client, because I believe that too, as far as like, what do you love doing? What properties do you love working with? Who do you want to work with? And we don't always get our ideal, but again, create that vision so you know what you're going towards.
Yeah, create your vision and go for it. I love still conflict arises when expectations differ. All right, now, well, first of all, because a lot of people that go into brokerage, they sell and own. Did you kind of sell and then graduate into only owning, or how did you make that decision? What did that part of it look like?
Yeah, so a little bit of selling, because I got to be honest, like you got to pay the bills. And I had money and savings and, looked at where can I get money and things like that. But I also knew, I think a problem sometimes people start their own brokerages, they're trying to sell, and then they sort of, as an afterthought, bring on agents. I just think you have to think about, those are my clients. So how do I provide value to them? That's got to be job one if I really want to grow this. So I'm going to compare it to being an agent. Like, it's not about you, it's about your clients. How do you solve their problems? How do you provide value to them? If you want to grow your business, just provide more value. So quickly, like I just knew I wanted to do the training, the coaching, some recruiting, just kind of creating the culture and the vision of the company.
Wow. And now today you have how many agents?
180. We have 2 offices with 180 agents.
2 offices with 180?
Uh-huh.
I mean, so that's amazing. That's your own. Usually it's like, yeah, we get to that number when we franchise or do something kind of corporate, but you've got 180 agents of your own office, own branding, own everything. What has been, there are two questions I have in mind. One, when you transitioned to being a broker, what was the biggest kind of shift? Because there had to be the unexpected things and the biggest differences, and then into that getting so big. But let's start back with just shifting from agent to broker owner.
Mm-hmm.
What did you learn, and what can we learn from you for those of us who want to be great agents and those of us who want to grow great teams or maybe even start a brokerage?
Know your strengths, work in your strength zone, get out of the other side. Like, we wouldn't be here if I were doing the accounting and all of that stuff, because that's not my forte. So, surround yourself with good people, and really everybody's got a zone of genius. I might be good at some things, put me in the accounting role, I would be a failure. And likewise, our accountant, she's great at what she does. She's like, I never want to make a phone call. So it's like, know your zone of genius. So whether you're an agent or starting a brokerage, yeah.
Know your zone of genius.
Mm-hmm.
So you going in, how did you know? Well, I think we said this, but I'm going to repeat it because I'm still on that. There's so many people, especially when they're running their own brokerage and they're not able to franchise or be a part of a corporate world. They're selling, they're doing both. They're selling and owning.
Yes.
And you're able to not do that. And I think it's so that you can focus on your role as an owner to serve the agents in your brokerage.
Completely. And I think that's part of the reason we started in a hotel room was I was afraid if I just okay, I'll set up shop in my home, and little by little, I'm like, I think I have to be all in. Like we need to grow quickly and really become substantial so we can keep this going. I was just afraid if it went very slowly, I would never get there. And similarly, when I started as an agent, your first few months, you don't make any money at all. And I remember paying my nanny, babysitter, and almost like crying, like I'm writing this big check.
Am I going to get it back? Right.
But I just knew for me, it wasn't going to be like, I'll stay home with kids and I'll do a little on the side and ramp up. I was just afraid I'd kind of stay in that sort of like not getting to where I want to get to. So
and how did you know that? I think most people are the opposite. They play it safe, and that's exactly what happens, but it's easy to kind of kid yourself. How did you know what's so counterintuitive to so many people?
Well, I think it goes back to vision. Like, where do you want to get to? So if you want to become an agent that's making, really good living, and, you have an income goal, what things you need to do to get there. And for me, that's going to be focus and building a database, and just, it needs that time and commitment.
Yeah, exactly.
So same with the brokerage. If you want it to look a certain way, like I want to have enough agents that we have enough staff and we can serve the agents well, then I need to, probably number one thing initially is recruiting, and then developing those agents, helping them.
Now, which takes a lot of focus. So in doing that, what did you find? What was the biggest challenge in launching truly your own brokerage? Like, it's beyond your own team.
Yeah. Just so anybody who wants to start a brokerage or be a sales manager, it's 3 easy things. I didn't make this up. I heard this somewhere, but it's recruit talent, develop talent, and spend less than you bring in. That's it. So
recruit, develop, and then spend less than you make.
Bringing in more money than you're spending.
So you recruit them, you develop them, and you spend less than you make. That's simple.
Yeah. And I think sometimes people don't want to do the recruiting, but I do think it's like you're trying to build a team and a community. So if you believe in what you're doing, you feel excited about it. You're going to talk to everybody to find the people who would be a good match. And then also, how do you develop? Like, if they entrust their real estate career with you, you want to be a vehicle to help them develop. So keep that, it's just like when we list a property, we want to sell the house and help the seller reach their goal. Same with agents. We want to help them reach their goals. I'm going to back up a little bit early on. So we'd moved from the hotel room into a really small space, and, a few years of stress of, are we going to be able to bring in more than we spend? And there's an agent in town, and he did not have a good reputation. He was productive, but, not a match for us. But he called me and just said, hey, I saw you opened your own thing and I'd love to talk to you and blah, blah. And I was like, no, that's great. I don't think we're a match, and no disrespect, but what you were working on and what we're trying to do, it's not going to be a match. that was really hard because I was like, am I crazy? Like, we need revenue. But I think it goes back to that vision and kind of core values.
Yeah.
And would have taken that person, that would have been a short-term like income gain, but it would have kept other agents from coming. So
Isn't that powerful? Yeah. I mean, what a great lesson, because it's so easy to look at the short term
yeah.
and so much to gain. But in the long term, especially it's like once you've been in business, and time goes by and you see you wait the less like the goods like it's like that time went by so quickly, and the compound effect of those decisions, good and bad.
Yes.
It's kind of amazing if you could almost like go backwards or like
well
see it backwards for younger people.
Yeah, we're speaking the same language of like, what's your vision? And then stay in alignment with that. Because if you get out of that and you make some decisions that are out of alignment, and then it compounds. So each little decision and everything you put into your business, it will grow and stay moving towards that vision that you set out to.
Just know your vision.
Know your vision.
Know your vision and keep it clear, keep it concise, keep it simple.
Yeah.
So what is it? You've kind of given us a lot, but if you summed it up in your brokerage, and then I want to talk to you more about running teams and running brokerages and infrastructure of that. But what do you think it is? Again, it's so impressive to have a company of this stature in today's market, especially when it's gotten, not only has it gotten real competitive amongst real estate agents, it has amongst real estate brokerages. What is that common denominator for RedKey Realty? And what's the common denominator for your brokerage? Because that's kind of an anomaly almost today.
Yeah, I would say, I keep saying the same stuff over and over, but
no, it's okay. It's like the point. Yeah.
Like, we have a lot of diversity in our brokerage. And we have a common like core value. And a lot of it's like servant leaders. Like, if we help our clients achieve their goals, we'll achieve our goals. One of them is Honey Badger. I don't know if you've ever seen the Honey Badger video.
Yes, I have.
Okay, so one of
my husband quotes it way too often. I don't know. We may or may not share, but it's so true.
But yeah, we are honey badgers. There's going to be problems in a real estate transaction or in life, but we will be relentlessly focused on solutions. So you got a bad inspection? Honey badger don't care. You got stung by a bee. Like, find the solution. And
you are not saying the same things, by the way. You didn't mention honey badger or any of that, but relentless focus on solutions and common values. Anyway, keep going.
Yes. So people who like that, like, I think the clearer you get in your vision and what you're trying to create, and your job is to keep communicating and keep working on it, it starts to attract people. And, we hire, we fire, we promote to core values. We've had hard conversations. When we hire an agent, we talk about core values. When we have to let an agent go, it's always a core value conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And, it goes either way. Like, if there's a problem, we sit down, I just bring them out and I'm like, okay, we seem to be out of alignment. Like, tell me what's going on. And either they get defensive and they're mad and like, how dare you? And they're like, okay, we need to part ways. Or they're like, I had a bad day. I'm so sorry. I want to be here. I agree with the core values. And we all get that. We all get that, grace.
Yeah.
We all have bad days. So I think that's part of it, because you spend so much time at work and you want to have relationships with the people that you work with. So I think that's a lot of it too.
Wow. So you said two things, your common values, and with you, it's what I'm hearing for RedKey Realty, it's serving others and going after solutions relentlessly.
Yes.
Serving others for their goals and going after solutions for them relentlessly, like the honey badger.
Yeah.
And in success, it's knowing, number one, you had that vision and you knew it. And number two, you know your values, and you know whether the people along your side along the way, did their values align with mine or not? And that's when you know the difference of who to keep on the bus and who to let off. Yeah. All right, looking at, I have two questions running in my mind. One more thing on real estate. Well, actually, I can merge these questions. So looking at successful real estate agents, successful teams, and being a broker of a successful brokerage. Let's talk first about what is the infrastructure? Is there a certain way to set up a team and or a brokerage that it works? And I'm talking like you need a buyer's agent, you need whatever. Not everybody does that. Like, are there certain pieces of the puzzle, or there's certain roles that people need to have, or what's is there any common like way these teams work best when you're looking at all these agents in your company?
I would say first thing is get leverage. If you're a busy agent, get leverage. And that can be technology, that can be systems, or that can be people. So if it's people, it can be part-time. And again, some people do a virtual assistant, or they have someone who comes in, 3 mornings a week. But so you can stay in your zone of genius, the thing that's going to make you money. That's talking to clients, that's, knowing the real estate market, that's reaching out, that's writing contracts. And then what can you hand off to someone else who loves that and does a great job? So you can start very small. I would say sometimes I see an agent get really busy and then they're like, I need a buyer's agent. It's like, typically your first hire should be administrative to help take things off your plate, and then you'll make more money. Again, it shouldn't be a big cost. It should be an investment that you're going to make more because you're going to offload a lot more. You can be in your dollar productive stuff.
Exactly. So technology, systems, people, whatever you do, leverage it to stay in your zone of genius. And when you see teams, is it usually like first you hire an admin, and then let's say once you get to a team that is at its ultimate, do you have how many admins, how many buyers agents, or have you ever seen a formula that you think works best?
I think it really depends on how big you want your business to be. I would say a few things I've seen to watch out for. I've seen some people grow big teams and then they don't like it anymore because they feel like they're the HR person. They're not in their zone of genius. They're hiring and coaching. And just depends on what you want to do. So really look at what are you good at? What do you get energy from doing? So I've seen small teams who are super productive and everybody's making great money. So again, it's just, what's that vision? Is it a big team? Is it a certain lifestyle? What's most important to you? But if you grow a big team, then there you go. You got to have a vision. And then you have to look at the people who are working with you. How can you become a vehicle to help them grow and develop? You're going to recruit talent. You're going to develop talent.
Recruit, develop, and spend less than you make.
Yes.
At least ultimately.
Yes.
I love it. All right. And looking at real estate agents in your brokerage, what do you say, if you could sum it up to like one thing, what is the common denominator of the agents who make it and or most successful agents?
Okay. So this is, I don't know if agents talk like this, but KPIs or your measurables. So if you want business, it's going to be conversations with people. I heard somebody say like conversations equal conversion. So like if you want more business, talk to more people. I'm a big believer. I just think it's all about relationships. Like real estate's important, but the relationships you build along the way are more important. And so one of my top agents, she's doing like close to 60 million with a small team, and she's got a big database and they've done many, many different things and they're successful. And I was talking to her and she said, their number one thing is their top 50 client list. That's it. She's like, everything else could go away. So whether you're a brand new agent or a successful team, you may have a huge database, but if you had 50 people who referred 1 or 2 deals to you a year, you're in great shape.
And think about like all the leads that could come your way that you can't serve, and all they become is phone calls you don't return. And how good is that for future business?
Yes, definitely.
Or people who love you, who refer you business, they know it's good business for you because they know you, and there's rapport and trust up front.
Yes.
Like here's the formula is so simple. And talking to you, Jill, it's like you make it just even cleaner and simpler, which I love.
Thank you. So, and I just totally believe it because it's like, again, I don't think I have anything original. I just heard it somewhere else, but it's like all things being equal, people want to work with their friends. So go out and make friends, like be good at real estate and connect to people. So sometimes I'll see new agents getting ready to get ready and they don't know everything. And I'm like, start your top 50 list, make sure they're in a database, show up, bring value to them, and grow. You can grow beyond that, but there needs to be your top 50 and they get, the lunch appointment or they get the special treatment or, whatever it is you're doing, but solve their problem and create value outside of the real estate transaction. And they will feel that they want to help your business.
So like that is the best advice ever. Like narrow it down to 50, forget even 100, especially for newer agents and newer agents and then more seasoned agents, because the more seasoned you get, the more valuable your core people. You run out of time. So you
Yes.
need to really hone down who you spend your time on, and maybe like 10 or 5 would be good, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like keep it small.
Yes. And you may have a big database, but you're going to have your advocates, and that's where your focus should be, your time and your money and your energy.
Always, always. But I would say, especially when you're new and especially when you're further in your career, those are the 2 most important times, just listening to you and knowing everybody I know and how to do it. All right, so give us, like, looking at your whole career of brand new agent having babies. I mean, that in of itself is a lot, but you were organized and clear and concise about it and didn't complicate it for yourself like so many of us do. And now you own a brokerage of 180 agents. What is probably your most memorable lesson over those years? Like, it was some crazy story where you transformed, or whatever you would share with us out of that. Your biggest memory.
Good question. Well, so I'm going back, this is sort of a core value, but we just say our mission statement is love, service, and fun. And that just means love is unconditional positive regard. So it's build relationships. Service is solve problems, and fun, make it fun. So if you can, so with your clients, with your team, but I would just say, have fun. Like, life is short. And if we're having fun, I would judge my success by if I'm having fun. And right now, like, I love what I do so much. I would never want to retire because, like, this is so fun. I would be the most annoying retired person because I'd be like, let's set our goals and let's have a meeting and let's but make sure you're having fun. And that just sort of permeates. And I think it's probably what the world needs, of just like upbeat, happy people connecting. So it's important.
Yeah, so many of us
do a
believe
lot of fun stuff, but that's about it.
What's so funny, it's like, if you're having fun, it must not be that good. It must not be that valuable.
Doing it right, because when you're in your zone of genius, you're having fun. And that's why it's sometimes hard for people to know what their zone of genius is, because they're like, this is fun. This can't be it. It must be something that's really hard. It's
right. It's too easy.
Because that feels good to you. Now long story, I'm going backwards, but
no, please, I love it.
A broker at my former place joined me, which I was so shocked because he liked security. And I'm like, again, are you sure you want to join forces? He came over and we would have a meeting every Friday. And we were so startup oriented with very little money, just trying to, again, make sure we have enough for payroll and rent. That's all we need. And I just had this idea that, sometimes people get moving trucks and put all their name and all this stuff. I'm like, that's fine. But what do people need more often if you only move every 7 years? So I'm like, what if we got a limo? What if we got a limo and we brought clients to closing and made it a big celebration? Or you want to take your client out for, dinner, and we have a RedKey limo. And Klaus, my broker friend, just like put his head on the desk. I thought he was going to cry. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, we do not need a limo. Well, we found a limo and it was nice and it wasn't very expensive. And so we do that. We take our clients to closing, and then we also try to do special events, and, clients love it. I mean, sometimes it's, like they've never been in a limo or whatever, or they'll want to pick up their kids at school and go get ice cream. And so I think have fun.
I love it.
Just life is short, make it fun.
Exactly. And look at the memory and how special you make people feel. It just plants that memory. It's like part of that dream. So we had an interview that came out actually right now, everybody. It hasn't even come out yet, but the interview is about making that magic for clients and making it happen. And buying a home is the American dream.
Yes.
Make that dream a dream and make it magical, because it really is.
Yeah. And sometimes you've gone through, you had to write mini contracts, or you had struggles in the inspection. So this hopefully is a celebration day, so pick them up in a limo, have champagne, have chocolates, just really celebrate the accomplishment.
Exactly. I love it. All right. So now we're coming in. Well, we're going to do our final 3, but not yet. I want to ask you one more question. Going back to running a business, you're hiring and firing. We talked a little bit, but any other thoughts on anything else you can share on when you're looking at building a team or starting a brokerage and you're hiring people? How do you know who's right for what job and who to hire?
You want core value match. So know your core values and hire to the core values. But fill in the hole. So have you ever done the DISC, the DISC assessment? So high I's, which I have a lot of I, but often they'll hire other high I's. And that's a paid audience. Like, you're going to have fun, but that's not what you need. Like, find the things that you can't do or don't like to do and fill in those holes. And again, go back to zone of genius, like people who naturally like to do those things, make sure they're in the right seat on the bus. So start with a job description, what you need them to do. And then someone who naturally likes to do that.
Mm-hmm. And I guess how you know is it because the disc isn't going to do it all, but at least it gives what are their kind of tests you usually give them? How do you know?
Well, I do the Colby, which is another one. So I would say anyone who's growing a team or starting a brokerage, there's a book called Traction by Gino Wickman.
Oh yeah.
And it's been really good as far as, you have a vision, you have measurables, you have people, getting the right people on, in the right seats. And then everybody knows, like, this is what I need to do that will impact us achieving our goals or getting to the vision.
And reading Traction.
Yeah.
My biggest takeaway was you can't tell them, when you tell them twice or 3 times, you've got about 5 or so times to go before they get it. Just remember, you got to tell them like 8 times. That was such a big one for me.
Yes.
What about for you? What was your biggest takeaway from that book?
Probably self-awareness. I'll go back to the Colby. It's an assessment and through EOS.
What is remind us, by the way, I should have asked you, what does Colby test for?
I think it's how people take action. So I don't know a lot about this stuff, but I think it's like the disc can be more preference-based. So you may see movement. Like sometimes you may show up as a higher D or a higher C. This Colby, they're saying it won't change much. It's how you take action, what makes you take action. And there are 4 areas they look at. And one of them is quick start. And quick start, if you are long on a scale of 10, if you're a long quick start, that means you're innovative and you take risks. If you're a short quick start, that means you stabilize. Well, a good team needs both of those. And when I took it, the coach who gave it to me said, wow, you create chaos for your team. I'm like, no, I don't. That's crazy. I came back and told the team, they're like, yay, you totally create chaos. Because I'll be like, let's buy a limo. Let's start a real estate company. I mean, I like to do new things.
That's not chaos, right?
That's it. Yes. I thought everybody operated that way.
I didn't think that was chaos. I'm probably the same because I'm thinking like, why wouldn't? Of course you would.
And then I saw my team, a lot of them are short, quick starts, and they want stability. So it makes them feel really,
nervous,
uneasy. Yeah. There's a lot of uncertainty. So it's sort of like we appreciate each other that, okay, I'm going to have ideas. We're going to filter through and pick the good, like 1 or 2. We don't need 10 or 20. We need 1 or 2, and we will systematically implement them. So I think it's like what helped me was I thought the way I was, we all think everybody reacts or sees things the way we do. No, they don't, which makes a good team. So know your strengths and then have respect and appreciation for the other strengths that your team members are bringing.
So I think you answered this along the way, but to be sure we didn't miss it, so you've got Colby's, you've got quick starts and short quick starts.
Yeah.
Quick starts are innovative, take risk.
Yes.
They want to do 10 things at once.
Yes.
And then you got a short quick start that just wants the stability.
Right. They want, if they see a lot going on, they're going to organize it for you, which is great. But having that mutual respect, like we need both.
Yeah. So I think you said this, I think you said like, because you can drive a short quick start crazy into just quitting because of all the uncertainty and anxiety.
Yes.
So as someone who like for me, it's like, that's survival. We gotta do, like, and it's fun. So how do you navigate? It says, you said navigate, you just do 2 at a time, or how do you navigate that to keep the innovation and keep the stability and keep the team together?
Yeah, no, if you're a quick start, you have to stay in innovation. That's your zone of genius. You need to have an assistant, or whoever's closest to you needs to be a mid-range so they can go either way. So then your accountant or someone else might be a short quick start, like a 1 or 2, but you just want to make sure, you don't want to apologize constantly for innovating, and you don't want to push people where they feel stressed out all the time. So you just have to find the right team.
So you just find the right people.
And test for it. I mean, because, you want to set them up for success so they feel good and happy where they are. I also heard this, like, it's like a rubber band stretching. So if you put someone in a position, they could maybe do it for a while, but it's taking so much energy, and eventually they're just going to snap. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Put them in a place where they naturally like what they're doing and feel like it's a good fit for them. they're going to stay with it longer.
And how many jobs are there really for a short, quick start in our business? It's kind of a
You know,
runs
that
on innovation.
transaction manager, well, probably in real estate, you're going to have it a little bit, some flexibility, because real estate is changing so much.
Yeah. So, I mean, just like talk about, I've heard of the Colby and I think I knew, but disc is always what you hear about. Definitely. I kind of know where I'm coming out on that Colby.
Yeah. The other thing I'd say is test for skills. So if you're hiring a marketing person or a transaction coordinator, give them a few things like, here's my database. Can you input these? I've made the mistake where I've hired people who say they can do stuff and then they can't. And then it becomes a tough conversation and you train and you train and you train. So I've learned to give them a little skills test.
Mm-hmm. And do you just go and figure out what you need, or do you have a test that you give them that they take that kind of covers the skills already, or how does that work?
No, I have somebody else on the team. So I have somebody who knows accounting to give them that, or have someone else say, okay, here's the information. Can you make a flyer, with the software? So like have another marketing or admin person help with that part of it.
Yeah, we actually did a job application once where we had all of these things to do, and then we had to record themselves doing it and put it in a Google file so that they had to do it, record it, and then if it made it in the Google file, then that would qualify them to be reviewed for consideration. And if the stuff never even got there, then we didn't have to talk to them.
Yeah, no, that's
but I did that once a long time ago. This is a great reminder to do that stuff again, because you're exactly right in that Colby. All right, so. And it's all the same, brokerage or team. It's not all the same, but in that respect, last question, I think, before I ask you the final three, what is the difference between running a team and running a brokerage?
I just think the more you scale, the more you have to get really honed in on what's your zone of genius and be able to delegate and let go of other stuff. If you can't do that, then that's okay. I mean, that's your lid. So, probably the thing I still have to, like, I love marketing and I want to get in marketing and do it all the time, but I have other stuff I have to do as well. So it's just making sure you have strong people around you that you can delegate and let go and let them own it.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. And finding the right people is what helps you make sure they own it.
You're always looking for talent. We're recruiting talent, whether you have a team or a brokerage, you're always looking for talented people.
Always room for talent.
Yes.
All right, now the final three. Number one, what do you think has been your biggest resource in your success?
Always find experts. I'm just a quick start. Like, I want to go fast. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So if you're an agent, find coaches or trainers, or your brokerage, and if other people are succeeding and it's in alignment with you, follow the system. That would be my, you don't have to make it up.
Don't reinvent the wheel.
Right. And again, if you're a brokerage owner, there's people you can talk to, find out what's working, and then adapt what would work for you.
Pretty straightforward. But I love the first thing you said was always find experts. Number two, if there's a book that you think has been the most resourceful, changed your career and life, or both, what is it? We just have to read it.
Career, I'm going to go back to Traction because, we were just sort of doing it on our own, and it gave us, it's how entrepreneurial companies scale. So, we may have the vision, but we didn't have the systems. And we actually hired an EOS coach. So we hired an expert. So we tried for maybe 6 months on our own to do it, and we weren't doing very well. So then we're like, okay, we'll just hire an implementer. So, and again, it's just all the stuff we're saying, but learn, be in your zone of genius, and then build a strong team around you with systems.
Everybody replay what she just said, because there were like 10 pieces of good advice, but one of them talked about, you said an EOS coach, but hiring an implementer.
Yeah.
So you have made it clear from day one, you were a huge visionary, and visionaries often do a lot at once, think fast, high risk, and they see the vision. But you just talked about it's got to be implemented. While you're doing a lot, you hired an EOS coach. You hired the implementer just to make sure. And you tried it for 6 months without one. Tell us a little bit, an EOS coach, what is that exactly? What does EOS stand for?
They're just people who, work in the system and go to companies. And then you have once a quarter, you meet as your team with the implementer, and they just kind of walk through things and they follow a system.
So you had an EOS coach to say, this is what to do. And then an actual implementer say who actually but rather than you who knew what you wanted, you had an EOS coach oversee the implementer that you hired to put all the stuff in place. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes. And again, it's been, different levels of investment, but you nailed it on. I love to have ideas and go fast, but there's a whole, you have to take care of the systems. So similarly, I keep going back to agents. You could go meet a lot of people. Now they need to end up in a database. So when you're busy, they're getting consistent, persistent marketing. That's how you build, so go out and do things, but have things that will keep it growing consistently. And that's not my strong suit. So let me find that person. And again, look at it as investment, because sometimes agents don't want to hire a coach because of the expense, but it's like, if you really want to be great at this, this investment should impact your income and your career.
I don't know any athlete or anybody that doesn't have some kind of mentor and coach that got them there. That's great. Yes. Not one.
I agree.
Okay. Now, last but not least, if there's one thing you hope that I and everybody listening takes away from our conversation today, if we just are going to forget everything else, which hopefully we don't, but what would that one thing be?
Okay, it's going to sound really warm and fuzzy or woo.
Good.
Love on your people. I think during COVID, that's what we need the most. So, call your clients, and it doesn't have to be anything other than, how you doing? I just was thinking of you. End of story. Or how's your family? We typically do a RedKey retreat every year. We didn't do it last year because of COVID. So this year we did, it's just an overnight. And typically it's more business planning. This year I'm like, you know what? It's just about seeing each other, going for a walk outside. It was much more about life and what you want to create and the connections and relationships that are important to you. So, call your clients, love on your clients, and you're going to get more clients.
I love it. Thank you, Jill. Love on your people.
Yeah.
And Jill Butler, St. Louis, Missouri, with RedKey Realty, 180 agents and going. I mean, you're running on love, serve. What was the last one?
Fun.
Love, serve. Oh, of course. See there? And have fun. Awesome. Jill, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Jere Metcalf podcast, where top real estate agents tell how they do it. If you like this episode, please share it with friends. To find more episodes, search Jere Metcalf podcast on any platform for podcasts, or go to JereMetcalfPodcast.com. That's JereMetcalf